The night was quiet when Angela Thomas saw flashing lights fill her rearview mirror, her heart steady but her spirit alert. Because she knew that for someone who looked like her, a simple stop could turn into a nightmare. She pulled over calmly, hands firm on the wheel, as Officer Bradley Cole swaggered up to her car with a smirk that said he had already judged her before she spoke. "Figures. Another one of you speeding where you don't belong," he sneered, dripping arrogance and prejudice. Angela spoke softly, her voice calm but steady. "Officer, I wasn't speeding." But he cut her off with a chuckle. "Save it. You people never learn. Maybe a night in jail will teach you." He reached for his cuffs, convinced of his power, certain he had her cornered. But Angela did not flinch. Instead, she reached slowly into her purse, pulled out a leather badge holder, and flipped it open. The golden seal gleamed in the glow of his flashing patrol lights. His face froze, the smirk fading into disbelief. She locked eyes with him and said firmly, "I'm Angela Thomas, the new district attorney. And starting tomorrow, my office will be reviewing every single one of your traffic stops." The officer's arrogance drained away, replaced with fear as he realized the tables had turned. The silence was heavy, the night itself bearing witness as his authority crumbled under the weight of hers. And in that moment, one truth was undeniable. Those who abuse power will always meet the day when justice stands taller than their arrogance. The weight of silence pressed on Officer Cole as he stared at the badge in Angela's hand, his smirk gone, his jaw tight, his mind racing. He tried to recover, stumbling over his words. "I didn't mean anything by it. Just routine procedure, ma'am." But Angela didn't blink. Her steady gaze cut deeper than any courtroom cross-examination. She let the silence linger, her calm presence louder than his excuses. He shifted on his feet, his earlier swagger dissolving, the flashing red and blue lights now exposing him instead of shielding him. For years, he had treated drivers like this, confident no one would ever challenge him, certain his badge made him untouchable. But tonight, he had pulled over the wrong woman. Angela leaned forward just slightly, her tone sharp, precise, unshakable. "Routine procedure? You insulted me, threatened me, and assumed guilt without cause. That's not procedure. That's abuse of power." His throat tightened. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. For the first time in years, Officer Bradley Cole wasn't in control of the stop. He was the one being judged. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. Angela held her badge steady, the gold seal glinting under the strobe of his cruiser's lights. She didn't raise her voice, but the firmness in her tone carried more weight than any shouted command. "Do you realize how many complaints my office has already received with your name on them, Officer Cole?" His eyes widened, his face paling under the harsh lights. He tried to laugh it off, his voice shaky. "Complaints? People always complain. Comes with a job." But Angela's expression never wavered. "No," she said slowly. "Real people. Real families. People you thought were powerless." Her words sank into him like stones in water, pulling his confidence down with every syllable. For the first time, the street didn't feel like his territory. It felt like a courtroom, and Angela was the judge. He swallowed hard, realizing that everything he had once hidden behind a badge was about to be brought into the light. And standing there, stripped of arrogance, he finally began to see her for what she truly was, his reckoning. The officer's hand twitched nervously near his belt, not in aggression now, but in panic, as if clutching his utility gear could anchor him to the authorities slipping away. Angela didn't flinch. She leaned back in her seat, composed, commanding, her voice low but cutting like a blade. "You thought this stop would end with me in cuffs," she said, "but instead, it may end with you in front of a review board." Cole's face tightened, his jaw clenching, sweat forming along his temple despite the cool night air. He had always been the predator on these streets, feeding on fear, thriving on silence. But Angela wasn't afraid, and she wasn't silent. Her calm composure felt louder than any siren, sharper than any command. He stepped back slightly, his confidence unraveling, the smirk long gone, replaced by a hollow stare. For the first time in his career, Officer Bradley Cole realized that the badge he used to shield himself could also be the very thing that destroyed him. Angela let the moment stretch, the flashing lights reflecting in her calm, unblinking eyes. Then she spoke again, her words deliberate, steady, each one hitting like a gavel in a courtroom. "Tomorrow morning, my office will be pulling your files. Every stop, every report, every so-called arrest." Cole's throat tightened. He shifted on his feet, the weight of years pressing down on him all at once. He had laughed off complaints before, hidden behind his badge, confident no one would ever peel back the layers of his misconduct. But now, standing before a woman whose authority dwarfed his, he felt exposed. He forced a smile that never reached his eyes, trying to salvage his pride. "Look, ma'am, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Just a misunderstanding." Angela cut him off sharply, her tone cold as steel. "No, officer, this isn't a misunderstanding. This is accountability." Her words pierced through the night, and in that instant, Cole realized he was no longer the hunter. He was the hunted. The officer's forced smile cracked as Angela's words cut deeper than he expected. He looked around the empty street, as if searching for someone to back him up, someone to remind him of the power he thought he owned. But there was no one, just the shadows, the hum of the engine, and the relentless flash of his own patrol lights painting him in guilt. Angela's voice stayed calm, unwavering, but each word stripped away another layer of his arrogance. "You used fear to control people. You thought no one would ever hold you accountable. But fear only works until the truth shows up." Cole's chest rose and fell unevenly, his confidence gone, replaced by a gnawing dread that this stop would be remembered, not as his moment of authority, but as his downfall. For the first time, he lowered his gaze, no longer towering, no longer smirking, just a man caught in the trap of his own corruption. And Angela sat there, unshaken, the living proof that the tables had finally turned. Angela's steady gaze never left him, her calm cutting deeper than anger ever could. "Tell me, officer," she said softly, "how many people have you spoken the way you spoke to me tonight? How many lives have you damaged because you thought your badge made you untouchable?" Her words hit him like blows he couldn't block, and his shoulders sagged under the weight of truth. Cole tried to speak, his voice cracking. I was just doing my job." But even he didn't believe it anymore. The air between them grew heavier, charged with a tension he could no longer control. For years, he had measured his power in silence, in fear, in the way people avoided his eyes. But Angela met his stare without flinching, and in that moment, he saw himself reflected back, not as a protector, not as an authority, but as a bully stripped bare. The hunter was now cornered, and the silence that once worked in his favor was now the silence that condemned him. The silence dragged on, and every second felt like a mirror held up to Officer Cole's face, forcing him to see the man he had become. Angela didn't have to raise her voice. Her presence alone was enough to dismantle the false power he had built over the years. She leaned forward slightly, her words measured, her tone precise. "You thought I was powerless. You thought you could belittle me, threaten me, and walk away the same way you've done to countless others. But tonight, you pulled over the wrong woman." Cole's lips parted as if to argue, but no sound came. His throat was dry, his mind scrambling for excuses that no longer fit the moment. The badge on his chest, once his shield, now felt like a target, heavy and suffocating, and the glow of his own flashing lights. He stood exposed, not as a man of law, but as a man who had abused it. Angela's calm expression didn't waver, but her eyes carried the weight of every voice he had silenced. And for the first time, Officer Cole understood the authority he had misused was no longer his to wield. Angela let the silence work like a blade, sharp and cutting deeper than anger ever could. Finally, she spoke, her voice calm but unshakable. "Tomorrow, when my office reviews your record, you'll have to answer for every choice you made behind that badge. Every insult, every abuse of authority, every life you treated as less than human." Cole's stomach churned, the weight of years pressing into his chest, because deep down, he knew she was right. He had built his career on intimidation, on the belief that no one would ever challenge him. But here, on this dark street, under the very lights he once used to instill fear, he was the one trembling. His fingers twitched at his side, useless, unable to grasp control the way he used to. Angela leaned back slowly, her composure unbroken, her words sealing the moment like a verdict. Justice has a way of finding men like you. And when it does, it doesn't knock, it takes everything. And with that, the balance of power shifted completely. He was no longer the authority. He was the accused. Officer Cole staggered back, his voice barely above a whisper. You can't do this." Angela's eyes locked on his, unflinching, her calmness cutting through the night like thunder through silence. "I don't have to do anything, officer. Your own actions have already written your fate." The radio at his shoulder crackled, a hollow reminder that his world was about to collapse in front of him. For years, Cole had hidden behind his badge, confident no one would hold him accountable. But tonight, justice wore a different uniform. Angela Thomas, the very woman he mocked, threatened, and underestimated, was a district attorney who would decide his future. She took a slow breath, her words final and unshakable. "Tomorrow, when I sit behind my desk, I won't be the woman you try to bully on the side of the road. I'll be the district attorney, and you'll be nothing but a case file." Cole's arrogance cracked into fear, his smirk gone, replaced by silence he couldn't escape. Angela started her car, leaving him standing in his own flashing lights, exposed and powerless. The lesson hung heavy in the air. Authority without integrity crumbles when truth finally stands tall. And for the first time in his career, Officer Cole realized the badge on his chest couldn't save him. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that matter. And let's keep the conversation going.